Hello, and welcome to the Accountability Coach podcast, where we discuss proven business success principles related to helping you make more money and work less so you can enjoy having your ideal business and ideal life. And Bachrach here. Today, we have a very special guest with us who can help us bring our vision for what we ultimately want in business and in life into reality. Hansen ONeill is an international keynote speaker, a behavioral expert, and author of Find Your Fire and Teams on Fire. She's also the co-author of the new Amazon bestseller, Where's the Office? Moving today's leaders from what is to what can be. She stimulates vibrant energy, focus, and action for those who want to collaborate effectively, lead change, and achieve massive results. Welcome, Heather. I really appreciate you joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
I like to just jump right in. So I want to get to the meat of what we're going to be talking about.
You got it.
Tell us about the blocks that keep business owners from moving from what is to what can be.
Okay, well, there can be quite a few, so I will give you an overview and see if any of them resonate with some of our listeners here today. So there are, we'll call them beliefs. It could be judgments, assumptions, fears, something that we hold on to. A lot of these things can keep us from getting to where we want to go, but we may see them as fact. We may see them as just a part of us. We may not even realize that they're there because they're under the surface. They're the things that we believe to be true that guide our decisions, that guide our actions. And so I spend a lot of time working with people to help them uncover this, to help them become more aware, more conscious of the fact that these beliefs and judgments are guiding them. Now, not all of them are bad. So we don't want to call all of them as a block or a barrier, but some of them are. And to become aware of them is really, really important, because as soon as we do, as soon as we become conscious of some of the beliefs that aren't serving us, that's when we can consciously choose whether we want to move forward with them or without them. Are we letting them go, releasing them, and choosing a more powerful, empowering belief, or are we going to hold on to them because it's working for us? So there's a lot of different ones, a lot of different ways we can go with this. So I'll come back to you now with where else do you want to go with this?
I'd be curious at what maybe some of the most important blocks or beliefs that you find in working with people as the most kind of common ones, I guess, that hold us back. And then we can do a deeper dive, I think, from there, if we can just get maybe what do you see the most of?
Okay. Well, I see a lot of the same ones. So, we're all individuals and we all have our variations, but there definitely is a pattern. There is definitely a commonality. And so some of the ones that come up a lot are I don't have enough education, or it could be I have too much education, or I I think that sales are bad, that if I am in sales, that I'm trying to convince somebody of something, or people don't want to hear from me. They don't want to get a call from me asking them for something, or, money doesn't grow on trees, or there's not enough hours in the day. I can't start that project until it's perfect. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I have, there's a million things that people come up with that they hold on to as if it's truth. When we look at it, when we become conscious of it, we can ask certain questions to decide if it really is truth, or if it is a limiting belief that is blocking us, that is keeping us. And so, especially if you're talking to people, I happen to do a lot of work in the sales arena with sales leaders or with executives. And so they've elevated these beliefs to a whole new stratosphere because they're so successful, right? So it's fascinating to work with people that have done such an amazing job of muscling through and taking action, but still yet have the lingering underlying belief that they're an imposter, or that they're not in some capacity enough. Oh, I'm not good at numbers, or I'm not good at this, or I'm not organized, because somewhere along the way someone told them that they were.
It is amazing. I mean, I hear a lot of times some of the ones that you mentioned from my
Yes.
clients, I don't want to be too salesy, or they're going to think I'm too salesy. And,
Hmm.
therefore they don't want to, they have call reluctance because they don't want to pick up the phone because they think, oh, they're going to think I'm salesy.
Yes.
And that just, for me, just boggles my mind. The other one that drives me crazy is, I'm afraid to charge what I'm really worth,
Yes.
because people they're not gonna buy, or they're gonna think that's too much.
Mm. You
And
know
then
what, Ann? I'm going to take that a step further because that one is huge, and I'm so glad that you brought it up. There's that element, like you mentioned, I don't want to charge what I'm worth because they don't think that they're going to get it. But then there's the deeper, more subconscious one, is that they don't believe that they're worth it.
I think you're right on. And a
Yeah.
lot of times I'll ask them, do you think, you're not worth, what you're actually charging? And they say, well, no, I believe I am. And it always makes me wonder, really?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, but you know what? The way forward to help some of these clients is literally to ask a couple of questions to get them to figure out where it came from and if it's serving them.
The other one that really revolves around the value, to me anyway, is also in reference to, asking for referrals or introductions to other people that could use the service.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always afraid to ask, or even if they do get enough, energy or gumption up to ask, it's like, oh, that would be really great if I just got one. And I said, well, couldn't more than one people use your products and services and get value from that? What I'd
I,
like to talk about is just basically, how do we know? Let's do a deeper dive into this. How do we know which one of these judgments or assumptions or fears or belief are actually holding us back? And then what are the questions that we really can ask ourselves to dig ourselves out of that
mm.
way of thinking?
You know, I think that once I give you the three questions, which I'm about to do, that it really helps to illuminate for people what's been guiding them and why it's okay to let it go. But before I do, I just want to come back to what you were talking about these beliefs about value. And when it's in today's world with virtual things happening or adaptations to what's going on in the world, I hear a lot of, well, I can't sell virtually, so I'm just not even going to try because my business is an in-person kind of business. Or I hear things like what you brought up, and that is, I can't call that person, or I can't reach out to connect with that person. They wouldn't want to hear from me because there is a perception that that person is further along the journey or more famous or more whatever than they are. But I will tell you that in this environment, it is opening everyone. It's breaking down the walls so that you literally can ask for those referrals. You can reach out to people that you've always wanted to talk to, and they are much more open to those conversations. You'd be amazed who I've talked to, Anne, just simply by asking. And I know that you do that too.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
think people are just not really paying attention, or they have that old record playing in their head that they just can't seem to get out of their head.
Yes,
So
yes. And then I don't mean to put you off or have anyone be wondering, wait a minute, is she ever going to get back to those questions? So the questions actually comes back to that record player. that what you just mentioned is that we have these beliefs, these judgments, these assumptions that are playing over and over again in our head, and that cause us to not take a certain action or to not make a certain decision. So here's what you want to do. You want to first reduce the distractions around you, come back to yourself so that you're not you're fully present with this process. And then when you when you pull out of you that what you believe to be a truth, right? When you pull it out of you and you say, you know what, I believe this, and this is why I'm not moving forward, you have to ask first, is this true? Is this belief actually true? And I'll give you an example. So I had one that was there aren't enough hours in the day. I just can't get everything done because there aren't enough hours in the day. And so when I asked myself, is this true? I had to reply, you know what? It's not true because everyone has the same number of hours. And some people are really stressed out and other people are extremely successful. So what is it really? What is true? The truth is, it has nothing to do with the hours in the day. It has to do with how I prioritized. So the first question is this belief true? The second question, is it mine? And I will tell you, this one has blown a lot of people away. They may say, oh yes, this is mine. But when you ask again, no, really, is this mine? Or was it given to me from someone else? Was it passed down from generation to generation? Was it given to me by a coach or a peer or the media? And when we ask that, it's very illuminating. In addition to that, the third one is it serving me? Is this belief serving me? And so if you have answered no to any of those three questions, then it's time to ask, okay, what do I do now? If this belief isn't true, it's not mine, it's not serving me, it's time for me to let it go. And then we replace it with a new one.
So very cool. I'm really into this. I love this because most of the time, I mean, you hear people talking about, and I hear this all the time, like I'm sure you do as well. Oh, I'm not good at this, or I can't do that. And it's like they're just repeating and affirming the fact that they can't do that and they're not good at that. They're never going to get out of that cycle unless they ask these questions of themselves, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, is there anything else that you could tell us more about how we can really become conscious of, therefore, then releasing the limiting beliefs that we have or that old record that keeps playing to help us actually increase confidence to help us be more successful?
Yes. Sometimes these beliefs and these judgments are very deep. And we need an external source, somebody that can help us by being this non-biased person who can help talk us through this and ask additional questions. Somebody like you, someone like me, someone who can coach you through because they're not so close to it. If you like when you're having a discussion with a family member about a family dynamic, they're really close to it. And if you are having a discussion with yourself about some of these beliefs that you've held on to for 40 years and they're so comforting, it's like an old sweater that you put on and you just feel really comfortable. But if you want to move forward from what is to what can be, you need to be willing to get uncomfortable. And sometimes it does require a conversation with someone who's not so close to it, who can say, you know what, I know you think that belief is yours, and I know it seems like it may be serving you, but is it still serving you? Maybe it served you at some point in your past. But is it still really serving you? Or do you think that if you believed that you were capable of this, and this, what would happen for you? What would open up for you?
I believe that successful people are comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time. That's how they got to be successful. So I totally understand and agree with your comment about getting uncomfortable because it can make a difference for us in so many ways. It's so powerful. I mean, just the three questions that you ask, if you really sit down to answer those questions and then really release the ones that really aren't serving you, because most of them probably aren't, at least
Mm-hmm.
today, to move forward, because what got us to where we are today isn't always what's going to take us to ultimately where we want to be. How would we go about replacing some of those? For
Mm,
example, I'm afraid to charge for my value, or I'm afraid to ask for referrals, or I'm afraid I'm too salesy, or a lot of the other things that you talk about. What
yeah.
would be the replacement? How would we choose what the replacement would be?
Well, I think this is an excellent, excellent question. So I'm gonna I'm gonna give you two different answers, and they're not really different. For some people, you might want to start with the opposite of what you're currently believing if it's holding you back. Let's just try that one on for size, right? I don't want to be too salesy. Might be replaced with, if I don't ask for the sale, I might be doing this person a disservice if I believe that what I have can help them, right? So we want to completely shift it in our mind to something that is very different. And then we try it on. We try it on for size. And sometimes what you really want to focus on is, what belief will open me to my full potential? What belief will create possibilities for me to achieve what can be? That movement from what is to what can be, the opportunities that are out there, the goals that I have, those big dreams. What would I have to believe? Who would I have to become in order to achieve that? And when you start with that, you can get creative, right? Because you've kind of externalized it first, and then you bring it back in and say, okay, how does this feel? How does this sit with me? And then there'll be, when you hit on it, when you hit on a good one, like the one that I just mentioned about sales, oh gosh, like a million years ago, I had to make a complete shift in my business by that very belief, shifting that very belief to understanding that I believe in what I'm selling. And if I don't ask, I'm doing them a disservice. And once you do that, once you shift that, it makes it so much easier to pick up the phone, so much easier to ask that extra question, to say, well, what would we have to do in order to make this work for you? Because that seems like an of service question, right? So that's what I would say first start with the complete opposite of what hasn't been working for you. And then you can come closer to what your heart is screaming out. Oh yeah, that one's good. Let's take that one. Because you get to choose. It doesn't have to be this set belief, but it has to be one that's going to work for you, that fits with the truth, with it being yours, and with it being able to serve you in reaching your goals.
I love that. Just immediately, just do the opposite of what you're
Yeah,
thinking.
start with
That's,
that.
that's brilliant. I mean, it may seem simple or easy, to you, but I think that's brilliant advice, because I think that's usually, at least for the most people I hear saying these things, it's just definitely changing that. Just do the opposite of what you're thinking.
Right,
And
right.
I think that's just in itself so powerful. And I also love the fact that, hey, you're doing a disservice to people by not
Yeah.
sharing something that could be of value to them.
Hmm.
So I think
And
those
that comes
both are.
back to your belief about what it is you're selling. Let's say you're in sales, right? And if you don't believe that you could make someone's life or business better by them having this product or service, then maybe you want to look into some other options. Because if you don't believe it's actually going to help someone, then you need to look at that belief, right?
Yeah, that's very true as well. If I don't believe that I'm doing a disservice to people, but because it's, of great value to them, then yeah, you might look for a different perspective and a different job. That's for sure. I like that a lot. Are there any other tips that could help us in releasing or getting rid of those limiting beliefs or beliefs that are holding us back?
Well, I think first and foremost, you want to get to the place where you believe that you're worth achieving the what can be, because then you're going to do this work, right? Then you're going to take the time to put the energy toward a higher level of consciousness. But you have to come back to, I am worthy. I believe that I can make these changes. I believe that I can do something bigger or better or more impactful in the world. And and if you don't, then you want to have different conversations first that will help you to release and recognize that not only do you deserve to live this more meaningful life, but the world deserves to have you doing it.
For sure. I mean, we were all put on this earth to do something, some purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
really just elaborating on that can be really powerful to helping us make that progress.
Mm-hmm.
What tips do you have that we could use right now to help us be even more successful by really igniting our inner fire? Thoughts on that?
Mm. Well, yeah, I have a little bit of a firebrand with my business. I've got a little bit of energy. So I would like to say that it's important the tips that I would give are to reconnect to what energizes you, right? Because energy can be attractive or repellent, right? And if you are currently in an energy where you're feeling negative or depleted or unsure, uncertain, you don't believe in yourself like we were talking about, or you've got some judgments that you need to deal with, that energy that you're projecting out into the world is going to be one that repels people. So what you want to do, if you want to be more effective in your relationships with others, in your interactions in a sales capacity, if you want to get better results, you want to come back to, how can I fan the inner flame to create an energy that is attractive? And you have to recognize that in doing that, there are certain things like you want to take time to rejuvenate. You want to take time to stimulate your mind. You want to take time to move your body. You want to take time to reconnect with your purpose. You want to do the things that bring you joy, because those joyful activities are expanding your ability to come from an attractive energy. And so those are the things that I would suggest if you want to show up in the world with an inner fire that gets people around you inspired and excited and wanting to be with you, to do what you're doing, to buy your product or service. There are ways that you can do that, and you have to reconnect to what energizes you. And now that may be different from for each of you out there, but I would definitely look at it holistically. Be okay with taking time for you, taking time to do the things that are fun, that are joyful. We think, oh, I don't have time to do yoga. I don't have time to go outside for a walk in nature. You don't have time not to, because that is what will energize you so that you want to pick up the phone, so that you are, when you do pick up the phone, that your voice sounds like someone that they want to talk to.
Plus, it really makes you more productive. I mean, it
It
really
does.
gives you capacity to be at 100% when you
Hmm.
recharge yourself, right?
Yeah, you're at peak performance then, and you're in flow.
Yeah, so doing some of these things to take time for yourself really does help in a lot of different ways.
Yes. Yeah, and to continue, I will share my co-author with the newest book, Where's the Office, is he is going to be on the 8th, he's going to be 93 years old. And he is the most perpetually curious person that I know. And so I would put out there too, not just for your body and your energy, but to continually strive to learn something new each day, because that's going to keep you on the cutting edge of what you do. It will keep you stimulated and energized from a mental capacity as well.
It also helps us just keep up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we as business owners, if we're not keeping up, we fall behind. Therefore, our business can significantly suffer as well. So
Right.
always be learning and always be growing and curious are
Mm-hmm.
things that I think will help us also not only ignite the fire, but help us continue to move forward, make progress.
Yes,
So you
definitely.
have a new app out there. You were just briefly telling me about earlier. So I'd love for you to share this app with everybody.
Sure, sure. It's been kind of fun to go through the process of it, but I really like to be able to provide people with nuggets, with tips, which I know that you really like as well, to provide inspiration on a more consistent basis. So I created this app so that they can go to it whenever they want to. It's not on my time schedule, it's on theirs, right? So it's called Get Fired Up. It's free. You just go to the App Store and you get it on your phone, and it has videos for leadership, for sales. It has a great free quiz. All of it, it's all free. The quiz is wonderful for anyone who wants to learn more, to dive deeper into themselves, their unique gifts and skills, as well as what they might want to know about how they can adapt their behavior to be more effective in their interactions with other people. I would recommend that as well on there.
So the app is Get Fired Up. So
You
I'm going to
got it.
recommend that we all get fired up
There
and,
you
and,
go.
and, and check out the app to really discover our fire style. And
Yes.
I'd just be curious. I can't wait to check it out myself and see
I
what
have a
my
sneaking suspicion I know what yours is, but I want to wait and have you let me know once you take it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to your feedback on that. That'll be exciting. Any other thoughts or comments that you'd like to share before we end?
No, I just have enjoyed this conversation with you. I think you're doing wonderful things out there, and I just wanted to encourage all of the listeners to know that you have the capacity to move from what is to what can be. And so if you're not thrilled with what is, keep your mind open to the possibilities of what can be and remove any blocks and barriers as it relates to beliefs and judgments that have been keeping you from what can be, because I know that you can.
Right on. Let's get fired up,
There
Heather.
you go.
My hope for our time together with Heather is that you got value and an idea or two or three even that will help you be even more successful professionally and personally. Feel free to share my podcast with others as it can be found on most podcast platforms and in most English speaking countries, and of course on accountabilitycoach.com. And if you'd like to get a short daily fix from me, subscribe to the Accountability Minute, which can also be found at accountabilitycoach.com, as well as on most podcast platforms and in most English speaking countries. And if you want even more from me, subscribe to my Proven Business Success Resources and Tips blog by going to accountabilitycoach.com/blog. And always aim for what you want each and every day. Until next time, make it a great day, today and every day. I appreciate you listening. And oh, by the way, if you're getting value from any of my podcasts, please take a minute to leave me a rating and review. I'd really appreciate it and always love to hear from you.